Are you a Komplete Kontrol user who want to control the voice that accessibility mode uses? What about tuning vocals without using any plugins whatsoever? That's right, no AutoTune, no Waves Tune. Are you importing loops from third parties that don't have any tempo information embedded? We'll talk about how to get the tempo of those files, along with what to do if VoiceOver is ducking your audio in Logic while you try to edit, and how to find the tutorials on the website if you're new to macOS and VoiceOver. Stick around as we answer all these questions on this episode of Facts and Logic. What's going on, VoiceOver warriors and keyboard ninjas? This is the Oreo Monster welcoming you back to Logic.band, a site full of tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you as a blind Logic, VoiceOver, macOS, and GarageBand user. If you haven't yet, type Logic.band into your web browser, and when you land on the site, sign up for the mailing list so you can get a free Getting Started with Logic course.
Question 1.
Ben asked, I was wondering if you knew how to change the VoiceOver settings so that when I activate the accessibility on the A25NI keyboard, the voice doesn't come through the main monitor speakers. I have the VoiceOver set to come through my Mac Mini speakers, but when I turn the accessibility on, it changes to the monitor speakers. I also have changed the VoiceOver voice, but it keeps going back to the default. Thanks for the interview with Andre, it was great, and thanks in advance for any help.
Hey Ben, thanks for the question. So the first thing to note here is that when you're using Komplete Kontrol with the accessibility mode, it's not actually using VoiceOver, but instead it's using System Voice. And System Voice is a built-in speech engine for the OS to make announcements and things of that nature. It has its own settings, and those settings are found in System Preferences under Accessibility. If you know how to get into System Preferences and pull up the accessibility options, go ahead and do that, but I'll show you how I do this. So the way I like to do this is I'll press VOD to go to the dock.
Dock. Finder. Open. 1 of 29.
And then I'll just start typing System Preferences. So if I type SY quickly,
System Preferences. 21 of 29.
that jumps me right to System Preferences. And then if I VO Shift M to bring up the context menu,
36 items.
that's the list of all the System Preference panes. I can just press the letter A
Accessibility.
to jump to Accessibility and hit Return.
Finder. Search text field. Blank.
All right, so now I have the Accessibility System Preference pane pulled up. And it puts me in the search field, so I'm going to stop interacting to get out of the toolbar.
Out of toolbar.
And VO right over to the list of accessibility categories.
Accessibility. Accessibility features. Table. Overview. Selected.
I'm sorry, accessibility features. All right, here we are.
Quick nav on. Quick nav off.
Make sure quick nav's off so I can just down arrow.
VoiceOver. Zoom. Display. Spoken content.
Spoken content is what we're looking for. Now, on older versions of macOS, this would say speech instead of spoken content, but that would be what you're looking for. So if I VO right,
System voice. Alex. System voice. Pop-up button.
so you see System Voice is set to Alex. Now you can change this to be the same voice as your VoiceOver voice, or you can make it a completely different voice if you'd like.
Play button.
If you VO space on that play button, then you can hear what the voice will sound like.
Speaking rate. Slow image.
You can adjust the speaking rate there to make it fast or slow.
49.8%. Fast image. Volume.
And on newer versions of macOS,
Mute image.
you can also adjust the volume.
100%. Volume slider.
So you see the volume slider there is set to 100%. So you can adjust these settings to get your system voice for when you turn on accessibility mode on your Komplete Kontrol keyboard to sound the way that you want it to sound. So you can go ahead and switch it over to whatever VoiceOver voice you're using and adjust the volume and rate to match your VoiceOver settings if you'd like. The other thing to be aware of is System Voice is going to follow your system output settings. So if you have your Mac output set to use your interface that you use for Logic, then whenever System Voice speaks, it's going to speak through your Studio Monitor speakers. So what I usually do is I usually set the Mac to use my built-in outputs. So that's where VoiceOver and System Voice and everything else will go. And then I will in Logic set Logic to use my audio interface only. That way, only the stuff that's coming out of Logic go through my Studio Monitor speakers. Now, in the case of wanting to use something like iTunes or the music app to play music, if you want that music to go through your Studio Monitors, you will have to set the Mac system output to use your audio interface. So that might be why you have the Mac system output set to use your audio interface. But otherwise, I'd switch the Mac system output back to use my built-in outputs and then only use the audio interface for Logic. And then the times I want to listen to music on my Studio Monitor, I'll just switch it then. So that's how you can get your Komplete Kontrol accessibility voice to go back through your Mac Mini speakers, and that's how you can control the sound, speed, and volume of that voice. It's independent of VoiceOver, so just remember you have to go into System Preferences and then go to Accessibility to control it. All right, hope that answers your question. If you got any follow-up questions, please feel free to leave that in the comments below or visit logic.band/FAQs.
Question 2.
Line Ninja Music asks, how do you stop VoiceOver from lowering the volume of the track you're working on in Logic? I've noticed in your YouTube videos that your VoiceOver doesn't lower the volume of the track you're working on. Knowing how to do this will help me hear and edit stuff faster. Looking forward to your response. Thank you very much.
All right, so to answer this question, we're going to have to dive into VoiceOver Utility. To get to VoiceOver Utility, you want to press VO F8, and here is a little tip for anyone that is using a Mac with a touch bar. You can press VO FN and the number 8 to pull up VoiceOver Utilities.
Opening VoiceOver Utility. VoiceOver Utility. VoiceOver Utility. Window. Utility categories. Table. General. Selected. Has keyboard focus.
So once you press VoiceOver F8 to bring up VoiceOver Utilities, we want a down arrow to where it says Sound, because that's where we can turn off the ducking setting.
Verbosity. Speech. Navigation. Web. Sound.
So I just use a down arrow to get to Sound. Once again, you want to make sure Quick Nav is off. And now I can VO right arrow to go through the sound settings and look for the ducking checkbox.
Mute sound effects. Unchecked. Checkbox. Enable audio ducking. Unchecked. Checkbox.
Enable audio ducking. That's what we're looking for. You want to make sure that is unchecked, and then VoiceOver should no longer be ducking the audio you're listening to whenever it speaks. So once you uncheck that, you can just go ahead and hit Command Q to quit VoiceOver Utility.
Question 3.
Mike asked, I noticed on the website that you interviewed Andre Louis. I was trying to find a link to watch it. I am not that good at VoiceOver on the Mac yet, and I'm sure I just missed it. Thanks.
All right, so here we are in Safari, and I got the blog post in question pulled up here on the website. So if I interact with
Link.
this,
Press Enter. Quick Nav on.
and I just turn on Quick Nav, I'm going to press 1 to jump to heading level 1.
Heading level 1. Everything you ever wanted to know about Complete Control for Blind Logic Pro users with Andre Louis.
Here we have the top of the article. Now, if you are able to jump to headings with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I'll show you how to turn that on in a second. But once you're on the page, what you're looking for is a frame. There's usually a frame for the YouTube content. So now you can navigate through here by VO right arrow.
Published. Link. By. Link. What is Complete Control and how can screen reader users use it? Find out in this conversation with Andre about how to get native instruments Complete Control up and running.
Right, so you can read through all of this and eventually you'll get to the frame. But if you press VO Command F,
Frame.
it'll jump you right to the first frame in the page, and usually that's going to be the frame where the YouTube content is. So if I interact with this,
In frame. YouTube video player. Group.
you see the YouTube video player
Link.
there.
Photo image of Logic Band. Heading level 2. Link. Heading level 2. Link. Heading level 3. Link. Everything you share. Menu pop play button.
And there's a play button, so you can VO space on that to play it.
Pause.
You can press space to pause. Now, the YouTube shortcut keys also work when you're in this frame. Just make sure you have Quick Nav off.
Quick Nav on. Quick Nav off.
And then if you hit K,
Pause.
that will play. If you hit L, that'll skip you forward. And if you hit J, that will skip you backwards. Now, if I switch over to something like the recent tutorial I did about Amplian, the guitar amp sim, where I have 2 videos for that one.
Heading level 1. Is this one of the most accessible guitar amp sims? A detailed overview of the parameters and checking out the sounds of Amplian 2 Rock Essentials from Audify.
Right, so here we have this page. If I press VO Command F,
Frame.
so you see that's the first frame there. And if I press VO Command F again,
Frame.
jumps me to the second frame. If I want to go back to that first frame, I can just press VO Shift Command F.
Frame.
And that will take me back to the first one. Now, you'll have to interact with them to see what they're labeled as.
In frame. Link. Photo image of heading level 2. Heading level 2. Link. Logic Band. Heading level 3. 624. Link. Ampliant. Share. Menu pop up. Play button. Link. Watch on YouTube.
And the other thing too is if you'd want to watch it on YouTube, when you interact with the frame, right next to the play button is going to be a watch on YouTube link. So you VO space on that and it'll take you right over to YouTube where you can watch it as well. So those are your options. Now, I mentioned earlier about jumping by headings. So if we go into VoiceOver Utility, I'm going to press VO F8.
Opening VoiceOver Utility. VoiceOver Utility. VoiceOver Utility. Window. Utility categories. Table. General. Selected. Has keyboard.
And I'm going to go down to the Commanders category.
Quick Nav off. Quick Nav on. Quick Verbosity. Nav. Web. Sound. Visual. Commanders.
And go over to the Quick Nav. So I'm going to use VO right arrow to navigate now.
Track. Numpad. Keyboard. Quick Nav. Tab. 4 of 4.
VO space on that.
Selected. Quick Nav. Tab. 4 of 4.
And now I'm going to VO right to look at the quick nav settings.
Enable quick nav. Uncheck. Checkbox. Allow toggling of quick nav using left and right arrow keys. Check. Checkbox.
So that's the way I have it set up. I allow toggling of quick nav with left and right arrow keys.
Enable single key web page navigation when using quick nav. Check. Checkbox.
But you want to check that box. Enable single key web page navigation when using quick nav. That way, when you're in Safari and you're on a web page, you can press H to jump by add-ins, L to jump by links, Shift H will jump to your previous heading, Shift L will jump to the previous link, and you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to jump to heading levels 1 through 6 as well. So hope that helps with your Safari navigation. Welcome to the Mac, and let me know if you got any further questions. Visit logic.band/FAQs.
Question 4.
Keith asked, awesome job with the tutorials. I was just wondering if you could do a tutorial on how you edit vocals. I've seen the other one that was done, but I would like to know your approach as far as fixing notes that need to be tuned. How do you go about doing it without the T-Pain effect? Thank you and have a great day, and keep up the awesome work.
So you can use something like flex pitch, and the method that was demonstrated by Chikim, the creator of fine tools like VOCR. He demonstrated a method where you can use flex pitch and you can tab to transients and then play the note on your keyboard or the musical typing keyboard and change the pitch to what you want it to be by playing the right note. But with VoiceOver, you kind of have minimal control with that. That could be made a bit more accessible, and hopefully that's something that the Logic team will take care of in a future update, making stuff like flex pitch and advanced flex time editing more accessible with VoiceOver. There are other ways you can pitch correct vocals without using flex pitch. It's a manual old school method that involves splitting the regions and using the transpose function built into your DAW. And this will work in any DAW. This isn't Logic specific, but Logic does have some really nice algorithms for transposing that makes things sound very natural, and it's another way of doing stuff, especially if you want fine control over how things are corrected without a T-Pain effect. So my first choice would be, as I demonstrated in the pitch correction tutorial, using a pitch correction plugin, setting it to the key of the song, and then letting it pitch correct stuff naturally. But that really only works if you're already pretty close to the key of the song as is. So anyway, I'm going to have my friend AZG help me out and kind of demonstrate how we can pitch correct some vocals. So say hello to everyone, AZG.
Well, hello everyone. Let's get right into it. I'm going to play you guys a piece of a song that will be released soon, hopefully. We are going to then correct some of the maybe off-sounding notes here using this split method. So without further ado, this is part of Special.
Felt there was a missing piece, didn't know where it could be. Stuck in darkness and defeat, I couldn't find my way. So I searched for help inside, dug through spaces of my mind, and that's when I realized we possess something great.
We can start editing now.
Felt there was a missing piece, didn't know where it could be. Stuck in darkness and defeat, I couldn't
12 bars, 1 beat, 4 divisions.
find my way.
Speech muted.
Now, I tend to work with speech muted because it can get a bit verbose when you're winding back through your audio. This is why having a speech mute command is very handy. I tend to use right option greater than, just so I have something close at hand. I found this. So I want to bring this up a little bit here. I'd like to get as close as I can to the audio that I'm going to be splitting around, so I use Control, Command, comma, and period to move by division values. Then usually what I tend to do with Control, Option slash, I can change that to 30-second values and move by even smaller increments in case I need to do that. I tend to butt right up against where I'm supposed to be, or a close approximation where I'm supposed to be, even at that small increment size, and split there. So I have a little bit finer control of where I'm splitting and what I'm adjusting exactly. Now that I've said that, I can move with Control, Command, period. So now I can split with Command T. And again, sorry, my voiceover is muted, so usually what I do, instead of turning it back on, I just hit play, and then hit Control Home to check the beginning of my split. That's the beginning of the split there. And so we can, again, move forward because it's just that I want to adjust.
I couldn't.
I just hit it a couple of times, and I'm at couldn't.
Couldn't.
So we'll go ahead and split here as well with Command T. Double check it with Control Home. And that's fine. And then left arrow back to the I. Hit Option up arrow. And give it a second here while it enables flex pitch and does its algorithmic magic.
11 bars 4 beats 8.
Speech
muted.
I couldn't find my way.
She was just half step lower. So now we're just going to back up a bar and just kind of play around that area.
Stuck in darkness and defeat. I couldn't find my way.
It sounds more on pitch. We want to go change the algorithm from automatic to pitch just to make sure that it doesn't do any weird stuff to our timing.
Inspect. Collapse. Disclosure triangle. Expanded.
So expand this
Track. Verse 1
table.
double. Edit table. Nose. Chat. Freeze. Q reference. Flex mode. Automatic. Pop-up button.
And so we just VO down arrow down this table until we hear flex mode and then VO right arrow and you should see automatic. We just VO space.
Menu. 9. Flex pitch.
And then up and enter and give it a moment while it does its thing. So now that we did that, have the inspector again and
Speech muted.
Mute the speech and let's play around that area.
Stuck in darkness and defeat. I couldn't find my way.
Now it sounds a bit more natural.
Stuck in darkness and defeat. I couldn't find.
I believe there's another part as well that needs some correcting, so let's go ahead and move forward.
Felt there was a missing. Couldn't find my way. So I searched for help inside. Dug through spaces of my mind. And that's when I realized we possess.
This is another place where I noticed an issue, and usually what I do, sorry I didn't mention this while playback was going, but basically what I do when I know something's going to happen, I play the audio, and then as soon as I get close to where I need to make an edit, I will hit Control Command, comma, just to put the playhead there. When I hit space to stop it, it doesn't go back to the beginning of my region or wherever the last position my playhead was. Just a soft mark. Let's go ahead and move forward to the we. Okay, so again, split, check, and then move forward with Control Command period. Okay, split here at the P of possessed, check, left arrow. So now we have we selected. So now we're just going to Option up arrow again. We possess. She's saying that in D, so I move that up to E. So Option up arrow twice, go back.
And that's when I realized we possess.
So I also want to fix possess. So we're already at the beginning of P. Now we can just Control comma period a little bit. Split after the S here. I left arrowed and checked. Now I'm Option up arrowing to change the note. And context here. Go back a couple of bars.
Dug through spaces of my mind, and that's when I realized we possess something great.
To play you this whole thing with the note corrections we did.
Felt there was a missing piece. Didn't know where it could be. Stuck in darkness and defeat. I couldn't find my way. So I searched for help inside. Dug through spaces of my mind. And that's when I realized we possess something great.
There you go. That's how you edit notes by splitting regions. I didn't really showcase the fine tuning. If you find yourself flat or sharp, it goes 50% up, 50% down. That's just to fix any flats or sharps that you may encounter.
All right. Thank you so much, AZG. To recap, you were essentially navigating through the regions and then you split the regions around the phrases that you want to correct. So you split the regions in either side so that you can select just a region for the word or phrase that you want to correct. Once you do that, you can use Option up or down arrow to transpose that region. Option up or down arrow transposes in semitones. And then, like Izzy was saying at the end there, if you're just a little sharp or flat, you don't need to go a whole semitone up or down. That's where you'd have to go into the region inspector or the region table in the inspector and use the fine-tune control, because fine-tune is essentially transposing you in between the semitones, right? So in between each semitone, you can go a little sharp or flat, so the fine-tune control adjusts that. Otherwise, you can use Option up and down arrow. Once you do that, you may want to go into the track inspector. That's the second table in the inspector. So you want to go to where it says flex time and change that from automatic to flex pitch. The rest of it really is just navigating to get as close to the note or phrase that you want to transpose with Control Command period and comma, and Control Command period and comma will move you in division. By default, division is set to a 16th note, but you can change the division value down to a 32nd note, which is, I believe, what you had it on for most of this editing, Izzy. You switch it down to a 32nd note.
Yeah.
With Control Option /.
Yeah.
If you want to see more about division values and how you can use them to navigate through your project in small or large increments, I do have a tutorial on that. I'll link that in the description below. Also, there is a tutorial on how to set up a mute toggle option if you want to be able to mute speech like Izzy was doing in this tutorial while you're editing. So I'll put that in the description below as well. There's even a tutorial on how to collapse or expand those disclosure triangles, and I'll even link that one in the description below also. Some extra stuff to follow up on, but yeah, that's how you can navigate through your project and split and edit vocals and tune vocals and still have fine control over it if you don't have a pitch correction plugin where you can sidechain to the vocal track and correct the vocals that way. You have many options. Once again, there is a tutorial on how to use a pitch correction plugin to get started. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Otherwise, you can use the method that Izzy outlined here. There's also the flex pitch method that Shikem demonstrated, and I'll link to that as well. So those are your methods. Find one that works for you. This took a little bit longer just because Izzy was kind of talking through it and explaining it. It actually goes by a lot quicker because I've watched him do this many times while we're working on stuff. And once you kind of get the mechanics of it down and get the key commands comfortable under your finger, you can actually pitch correct vocals very, very quickly using this method. So you're just going to have to get comfortable navigating through your project and using some of the tips and tricks that Izzy talked about here today. Hope that answers your question. If you got a follow-up or any other details you'd like to know about as far as vocal editing goes, any follow-up questions, anything else to do with vocal editing, feel free to go to logic.band/FAQs and send over a question or comment. Feel free to also leave it in the comments down below.
Question 5.
Ajal asked how to change or adjust tempo of downloaded WAV file of beat if BPM is unknown.
Alright, so here I am in Finder, and I have a couple of loops that I downloaded from a free loop and sample pack. And if I go into this folder,
SD Empress Drums Arcturus 150 WAV, Groove, 1 of 2.
So that's one of the loops, and you hear it said 150 in the name. So usually when you see a number in the file name like that, that's going to be the BPM. So sometimes they'll put the BPM inside of the file name in that manner. Sometimes they'll put 150 BPM or 75 BPM, etc. But a lot of times they'll just put a number. Now, if I down arrow to the next loop I have in this folder,
SD Empress Melody Discover C WAV, Waveform Audio.
You see that one does not have any numbers in it, so there's no way to know what the tempo of that one is by looking at it. So now I'm going to go back up to the first one.
SD Empress Drums Arcturus 150 WAV, Waveform Audio.
And I'm going to copy that with Command C.
Copy SD Empress Drums Arcturus 150 WAV.
And I'm going to switch over to Logic.
Logic Pro, Untitled 2 Logics.
And since I know the tempo of that file, I'm going to change the tempo of this project to 150. So I'm just going to do VOI, type in tempo.
120.0000, tempo, slider.
VO space on that, and that puts me right on the tempo slider inside of the control bar. So I'm going to go ahead
150.00000
and adjust that up to 150. Now I'm going to stop interacting with the tempo. Hit return, make sure I'm at the start of the project.
1 bar, 1 beat, 1 division, 1 tick.
All right, so let's jump down to the track headers.
Track, tracks, in track, tracks header, in tracks, track 1 classic electric piano, groove. Track 1 classic electric piano. Groove. 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and press Command V to paste.
Paste.
So now I got this loop imported into the project.
Track 2 SD Empress drums Arcturus 150 inches.
And if I do Control Home and Control End,
9 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
that's Control End and Control Home.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
You see this region starts at bar 1 and ends at bar 9. So it's pretty much synced to the tempo of the project already. So I'm going to turn on the click track here.
Metronome on.
And press space to play.
One bar 1 beat 1 division.
So you see, if you set the tempo based on the number in the file name, chances are you'll realize that is the right tempo. And then you can bring this into your project, copy, paste, etc., and work with it as intended. All right, so now that we have this in here at the right tempo, let's say you want to use this at a different tempo. If you turn on flex time, you'll be able to adjust the tempo of this track as if it's MIDI. I'm going to press Command F to make flex time visible in the track headers. And if I interact with the track header,
in track 2, flex time, monophonic, pop-up button.
All right, there we go. Flex time, monophonic. I'm going to VO space on this.
Menu, 8, flex time, slicing, flex time, flex time, slicing.
And select that option because splicing is usually the best algorithm to use for drums.
Flex time, slicing, checked.
All right, so now I got that enabled. I'm going to jump back up to the tempo slider. So I'm just going to press VOI to bring up item chooser.
Item chooser menu, 133 items.
And start typing tempo again.
90, 22, 1 item, 150.0000. Tempo, slider.
VO space.
150.0000. Tempo, slider.
And now I'm on the tempo slider. If I interact with this, I can.
In slider, 180.0, 190.0, 200.0000. 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick. 70.60.00, 80.90.00, 100.0000. 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick. 120.0, 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
So there you go. You can now adjust the tempo of this region as if it's MIDI. Now let's take a look at what happens when you import something that you do not have the tempo information for. All right, so now I'm going to switch back over to Finder and select the other loop that didn't have any tempo info.
Finder, samples test, window, SD Empress Melody Discover CWAV, waveform audio.
All right, so I'm going to copy this.
Copy SD Empress Melody Discover CWAV.
And switch back to Logic.
Logic Pro, Untitled 2 Logics.
I'm going to go ahead and paste.
Paste. Track 2 SD Empress drums Arcturus 150. Toggle channel strip mute on.
I'm going to mute the first loop we brought in the drums for now.
Track 3 SD Empress Melody Discover C 1 inches.
And this is a new one that we just brought in that we didn't know the tempo info for. So if I do Control N.
13 bars 4 beats 1 division 193 ticks.
And Control Home.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
You see that ends at bar 13 beat 4, something like that, and starts at bar 1 beat 1. So we need to figure out the tempo for something like this. So you can play it and count it off and see how long it is. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 looks like that could be 8 bars long, right? So we can set our left locator
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
Bar 1, which it probably already is at. And if we go to bar 9,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars 1 beat 1, 9 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
And set our right locator there, we now have our left locator and right locator set where this should start and end if it was on time. So we're going to use a option called adjust tempo using region, length, and locators. So we need to make sure we got the region selected. So Control N.
13 bars 4 beats 1 division 193 ticks.
And Control Home.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
Tells us where the region starts and end. And if I do Command Option Home.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
And Command Option End.
9 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
You see we have our locators set to be at bar 1 and bar 9. So now if we press Command Option Shift T, this should set the length of the region to be exactly where we need it to be for the right tempo. So I'm going to press Command Option Shift T.
Cancel button. Change tempo of project globally or create tempo change.
So you see, this wants to know if we should change the tempo of the project globally or create a tempo change. And we're going to go ahead and change the tempo globally. Now, fortunately, we already have flex time turned on for the first loop, so it will just follow along and snap to the new tempo.
Cancel button. Globally button.
So let's go ahead and VO space on globally.
Now in Untitled 2 logics. Untitled 2 tracks window. Track 2 SD Empress drums Arcturus 150 inches. Mute group. 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
All right, so let's go ahead and play this again. And we're going to turn on the click track.
Metronome on. 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
All right, sounds good so far, right? So let's go ahead and unmute the drums.
Track 2 SD Empress drums Arcturus 150 inches. Toggle channel strip mute off. One bar 1 beat 1 division.
All right, that doesn't exactly sound like it lines up. So maybe we got this a little wrong. What if we counted a little too slow, right?
Track 3 SD Empress melody discover C 1 inches.
So we're back down here to the piano vocal chop track. And if we do control home and end,
9 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
the ends at bar 9.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
Starts at bar 1. So maybe we counted this off in half time, and this should be 16 bars long instead of 8 bars long. So in that case, we want to set our right locator to be at bar 17. So let's go ahead and do that.
2, 3 bars 1, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
All right, set our right locator there. So Command Option Home tells us where left locator is.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
Command Option End tells us where right locator is.
17 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
All right, and there we have it. So now let's make sure we still got the region selected. So Control End.
9 bars 1 beat 1 division 1 tick. 1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
So that should be the right region. So now if we press Command Option Shift T again.
Cancel button. Change tempo of project globally or create tempo change.
Go ahead and do
Cancel
global.
globally button. Now in Untitled.
Now we should be able to get this to be at the right tempo. So let's go back to bar 1 beat 1.
1 bar 1 beat 1 division 1 tick.
Usually it's going to be a matter of counting it off, figuring out how long the loop is supposed to be. And if you don't get it right the first time, it'll probably be double the length or half the length to get it to sync up with what you're trying to get it to sync up with. So that's the thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that a 4-bar loop will end at bar 5, an 8-bar loop will end at bar 9, and a 16-bar loop will end at bar 17. So keep that in mind. You don't want to put your right locator at bar 4 or bar 8 or bar 16 because that's always going to be a little short. So just remember that as well. All right, so that's how you can bring in a loop and get the tempo. Now you can always do detect tempo, but I find that really only tends to work best on longer materials and doesn't seem to work as well on shorter materials. So I tend to use adjust tempo using region length and locators when I'm dealing with shorter things like loops. The other thing to consider is, what if you want to bring this into a project where you already have stuff going on? Well, there's a couple different ways you can deal with that. If it's MIDI, then it shouldn't matter when you import it and use adjust tempo using region length and locators, because everything that is MIDI will automatically speed up or slow down to follow the new tempo. So you don't really need to worry about anything there. But in the case where you're dealing with audio tracks, you will want to turn on lock SMPT time for all the audio tracks in the project. So you select them all, turn that on, and then once you have your loop brought in and you do adjust tempo using region length and locators, figure out the right tempo, and then turn on flex time, adjust the project back to the original tempo, and then you can unlock all your audio regions. Select them all and do unlock SMPT time. And that's going to be found under the function menu inside of the tracks toolbar. The other thing you can do if you want to use these loops in other projects, you can bring them into a blank project like this, and then you can go ahead after you get the tempo figured out and set it to the right tempo. You can then go ahead and export it as an Apple loop and then pull that Apple loop into future projects where it will snap to the tempo automatically. And you can export something as an Apple loop by pressing Control Shift O. Hope that answered your question. Thank you for checking out this episode of Facts and Logic. Hope you found that useful and helpful. If you got any tips you'd love to share with the community, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe both to the YouTube channel and to the email list found at logic.band. That way you can get a free Getting Started with Logic course, and I can keep you up to date on everything going on over at logic.band. If you'd love to go deeper on any of these topics or anything relating to Logic, VoiceOver, macOS, or GarageBand, you can book yourself some one-on-one training by visiting logic.band/training. If you'd love to support what's going on here at logic.band, then visit logic.band/support, where you can make a one-time or subscribe to make an ongoing Patreon-style donation. Links to all of these, plus supplemental tutorials and blog posts, can be found in the description. And as always, until next time, happy recording.